I think it really wasn't until I entered the workforce at 15 and I started waitressing that something started to happen in my head that I guess I wasn't aware at that time, but it developed over years of working in the service industry and seeing the exploitation and the discrimination and the abuse that happens in the service industry and feeling it myself as a woman, right? You know, having all kinds of uncomfortable experiences of being sexually harassed, but always really feeling like there were other workers who had it far worse, and understanding what was happening in the kitchen with the back of the house staff. And I think really talking to workers and relating to workers and getting to know their stories and building over those years, like developing really rich relationships with workers in the workplace is really what started to fine-tune what I guess at that time was my interest in labor and organizing. I think what we're seeing in the last few years is this beautiful connection between movements, and I think traditional unions, some of them really stepping up to the plate and connecting with these movements, and some, you know, a little bit further behind. But I think what's been exciting is just seeing how a lot of organic worker organizing is happening in New York City, and it's really a whole new generation of labor activists, many of whom have come out of the Murphy Institute, are really plugged in to what's happening on the ground. And there's so much happening in New York City. And so I think that this new movement of activists are really connecting struggles so that we make sure the unions that we're working with or the unions that we're members of are connecting with Black Lives Matter, and that we're connecting issues around the environment and how unions need to be taking a larger role, or for unions that are not supporting Fight for 15, that they're out in the streets supporting workers that are not represented by a union. I think the challenge in the labor movement is that we're still looking at an alarming lack of diversity in leadership positions within the labor movement and even within the structures of most unions. And I think that for many women and women of color that are getting into this work, they're usually entering into a space that's predominantly white, male. So it's a huge challenge, and I think that it's great to see that this conversation is more prevalent now, but we have a lot of work to do. And it's really going to be women and women of color and leaders that are pushing that conversation, and we have to take that space, right? We can't ask for it anymore, we have to take that space.